There are silences in a house that don't feel empty. When Maya's mother accepted a year-long job overseas, Maya braced herself for solitude, for quiet nights, for feeling unmoored in a place that had once felt full. But David, her mother's husband, remained behind, and somehow the house never felt hollow. It was filled not with chatter or movement, but with something gentler, a steady presence, a kind of warmth that didn't need to be spoken to be felt. David had always been composed, thoughtful, a man of deliberate words and even more deliberate actions. Maya, 22, was still stumbling through the fog of early adulthood. She had graduated college with no clear map for the road ahead. Her part-time job at a local bookstore barely covered rent, and her most recent relationship had unraveled slowly, leaving her more exhausted than heartbroken. One evening, with the weight of it all pressing against her chest, she sat curled on the living room couch, her hands tangled in her hair, her thoughts spinning. "You okay?" David's voice came gently from the doorway. He wasn't the kind to pry, yet he always seemed to notice when something inside her was unraveling. She looked up, startled. He was holding 2 mugs of tea. "I'm fine," she lied softly, her smile strained. He didn't press. He simply handed her the warm mug and sat beside her, the space between them respectful, but close enough to matter. "You've been a little distant lately," he said, his tone careful but kind. "If you need someone to talk to." And that was all it took. Something in his voice chipped away at the wall she had spent months building. "I just feel lost," she admitted, blinking fast. "Like I'm walking in circles, like I missed a turn somewhere." David nodded, taking a slow sip of his tea. "I remember feeling that way once. Quit my job thinking I needed a change. Thought maybe I was chasing something better. Turned out I was just scared of failing where I was." Maya looked at him, surprised. "I didn't know that about you." He offered a soft chuckle. "Your mom likes to talk. I don't." That conversation opened a new door, quiet but wide. In the following weeks, the distance between them softened. They shared dinners, swapped book recommendations, laughed over forgotten TV reruns. She began to learn the contours of David's character, his understated humor, his thoughtful silences, the way he paid attention without needing to be the center of anything. One chilly evening, she stood in front of the open fridge, eyes scanning the emptiness. "Pizza?" he asked, appearing beside her. She smiled. "Perfect." As they waited for the delivery, they sat in the living room, the storm outside murmuring against the windows. David flipped through channels until he landed on an old black and white film. The lights flickered once, then again. Maya let out a soft laugh. "Should we light candles?" David smiled. "Always prepared, aren't you?" "You're the one who always thinks ahead," she teased. He turned to her, his gaze steady. "That's one of the things I admire about you." The words landed softly, too softly, yet they echoed. Maya swallowed hard. Something shifted in that moment, subtle but undeniable. That night, her thoughts circled around his words, around his presence, around the way he made her feel like the ground beneath her wasn't quite so shaky anymore. In the days that followed, her awareness of him sharpened. She noticed how he always checked the tire pressure in her car without saying a word, how he restocked her favorite snacks, how he listened, not just to her words, but to the spaces in between them. It was confusing, disorienting, but her heart kept clinging to those small moments, drawing invisible lines between safety and affection. She didn't know what to call it. She only knew she didn't want it to stop. They folded laundry together one night. A simple task, a quiet rhythm. Maya's eyes lingered on his hands, the way he carefully folded her sweaters as if it mattered. "You've been quiet," David said. "I've just been thinking." About? She hesitated. Everything. He nodded, not pushing. I'm here if you ever want to talk. Those words stayed with her long after she had gone to bed, long after the room darkened and the wind picked up outside. They whispered through the silence like a thread she wasn't ready to pull on. She started spending more time near him without meaning to, or maybe because she meant to, lingering in the kitchen, sitting in the living room even when she had nothing to do. She told herself it was innocent, but her heart had already stepped past a line. He never acted differently. David was steady, calm. If he noticed the shift, he never let it show. But one evening, she found him asleep on the couch, glasses slipping down his nose, a book rising and falling gently with his chest. She stood quietly, watching him, something swelling in her chest, tender and terrifying. The desire to brush the high. Later that week, she sat on the back porch, the sky heavy with clouds, her thoughts heavier still. David joined her, wordless at first. Bad day? He finally asked. I guess, she murmured. I feel like I'm running in place. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. You're hard on yourself, you know. I don't know how not to be. You don't have to figure it all out today, he said. Just breathe. She turned to look at him, and in that moment, just for a heartbeat, it felt like the world narrowed around them, like time pressed pause. Thanks for always being here, she whispered. I always will be, he replied. It was too much, or maybe it wasn't enough, because something unspoken passed between them, heavier than anything words could hold. Maya started pulling away. She didn't know how else to protect her heart, or his. She came home late, made excuses, let dinners go cold without explanation, and David, being David, gave her space. He didn't ask. He didn't accuse. He just watched her with quiet concern, and somehow that was worse than anything he could have said. Then one night, she overheard him on the phone. I think I should stay somewhere else for a while, he said. Her heart dropped. Her breath stopped. It was happening. He was going to leave. That night she barely slept, and in the morning her fear became real. He was packing. You're leaving? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I think it's what's best. You don't have to go. He paused. I think I do. Maya stepped closer, panic tightening her throat. I've been confused and scared. I didn't know how to deal with what I was feeling. David set his bag down. Whatever it is, we can talk about it. She shook her head. I don't know how to explain it. I just know. When you're here, I feel safe. I feel more like myself. His eyes searched hers. Maya, I'm not asking for anything, she said quickly. I just needed you to know. David looked at her for a long moment, then slowly picked up his bag again. I think I still need space, he said gently, but I'll come back. I promise. The days without him felt like walking through fog. She kept herself busy, work, errands, sleep that never came easy, but every corner of the house whispered of him. His books, his mugs, the way he had made everything feel a little steadier. One night, she found one of his bookmarks tucked inside a forgotten book, just a strip of leather, but it made her cry. And then she texted him, I miss you. Please come home. No reply, not that night, not the next morning. But then, a knock on the door. He stood there, tired and unsure. I didn't know if I should come back, he said. I'm glad you did, she whispered. They didn't speak at first. He stepped inside, set his bag down. I needed time, David said, to understand what I was feeling, to make sure it wasn't wrong. Maya swallowed. And now? I still don't have all the answers, but I missed you more than I probably should have. She stepped forward. So, what happens now? He took a breath. We go slow. We stay honest. and we don't pretend this isn't real. Maya nodded, and something inside her, something quiet and tender, finally settled. The days that followed weren't perfect. They didn't rush, but they found peace in the small things: shared breakfasts, evening walks, the slow rebuilding of trust through open conversations and gentle smiles. One evening, they sat together on the porch, the sun dipping low. David reached for her hand. "I don't know where this will lead," he said quietly, "but I want to find out. With you." She smiled, her fingers tightening around his. "I do too." And in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the rules, not the fears, just two hearts, finally speaking the same language,